Hello, this is Sarah Braasch. Welcome back to my channel. So I want to speak specifically about where the expression belonging at Yale comes from. So Yale, and this is especially there were a couple of journalists recently who expressed on Twitter their befuddlement over where the expression belonging came from and why belonging at Yale in particular is now a part of the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative, which is everywhere, right? Every college campus basically has a diversity, equity, and inclusion office, and a whole administration around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in particular, now Yale has added belonging. Belonging is another aspect of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Yale has a whole Belonging at Yale initiative. They have a whole speaker series, anti-racism speaker series, and I'm going to be live tweeting the conversation with Dr. Ibram X. Kendi tomorrow from Yale, and they have a whole website devoted to Belonging at Yale. So Belonging at Yale is this whole initiative, the focus of the Yale administration. And so Matt Taibbi and Conor Friedersdorf were just expressing that they couldn't understand why do we need belonging now? Where does belonging come from? Why does Yale have a Belonging at Yale initiative? So I want to explain what that is and where it comes from. So the Yale administration started using the whole belonging language and belonging as a term immediately after the Living or Not Being While Black hate crime hoax at Yale, which really took place over months, but the culmination of which was on May 8th, 2018, when Lolata Siambola, who was in cahoots with the Yale administration and the Yale campus police and Sean Kane and the ACLU and the New York Times and CNN and Good Morning America. So this was a whole defamation and vilification campaign against me, led by the Yale administration. They were fully complicit in the Living or Not Being While Black hate crime hoax at Yale. So this culminated on May 8th, 2018 in the now infamous video that Lolata Siambola took of me without my knowledge or consent, which I still believe was completely illegal. The dissemination of that video is still illegal. So this was a hate crime hoax that actually took place over months, and it was actually after February 24th, 2018, months prior, when Lolata Siambola and Jean-Louis Renison went to the Yale administration and falsely accused me of having perpetrated a racist hate crime comparable to a lynching. Now, I didn't know about this actually until the end of June 2018, when I finally was given the letter that they had allegedly written to the Yale administration after February 24th, 2018. And it literally falsely accuses me of perpetrating a racist hate crime on February 24th, 2018, comparable to a lynching. That's what the letter says, comparable to a lynching. So that's one of the reasons why I refer to the Living or Not Being While Black incident at Yale as a hate crime hoax. So now, of course, I did not perpetrate a hate crime comparable to a lynching on February 24th, 2018. In fact, I did absolutely nothing wrong, which, and that point of fact was corroborated multiple times by the Yale housing managers, who said that in point of fact, not only had I done nothing wrong on February 24th, 2018, but that I was the only person involved in the incident on that date who had done nothing wrong. So now, what happened on that date, and actually on February 24th, 2018, I was the person who was harassed that evening. The only person who was harassed on February 24th, 2018 was me. And so and the only person who was racially profiled also on February 24th, 2018 was me. So on February 24th, 2018, Jean-Louis Renison, in violation of Yale housing regulations, followed me up to my dorm, my isolated dorm room on the 12th floor of the tower of the Hall of Graduate Studies, my Yale dorm. Now, my dorm room is the only dorm room on that floor. There are only 2 rooms on that floor, and one other room on that floor is called, and was called, it doesn't really exist anymore, was called a common room. But as I've stated multiple times, this was truly a misnomer. It was very little used, and it's a small room. So this whole false, ridiculous, preposterous narrative that I was going down to the huge, cavernous main floor, ground floor, common room of the Hall of Graduate Studies, my Yale dorm, at 2 a.m, which I think may not have even been open at that time on that date. Even though I think they kept it open later during, finals week. And this was basically the penultimate evening of the entire semester. So anyway, so the main ground floor common room of that Yale dorm had a coffee bar and a whole bunch of, it's a huge space, coffee bar, tables and chairs, couches. And so the whole idea that I went down there at 2 a.m. and trolled that space for random sleeping Black people to call 911 on is the most ridiculous and asinine thing I think that anyone has ever heard, to think that that's what happened. But anyway, there's a lot of stupid people in the world who bought that story. But anyway, or they wanted to make money off of my corpse. We all know that. But anyway, so my point is that Jean-Louis Renison on February 24th, 2018, followed me up to my isolated dorm room, and in violation of Yale housing regulations. And in point of fact, I actually tried to avoid a confrontation with him and was just trying to get into my dorm room safely and taking reasonable precautions to do so. So now, what I ended up finding out later is that they had made up an entire dystopian fantasy about what had happened that evening. And so one of the things that he said I said, which I never said and would never have said to him, he said that I told him he didn't belong there. So that is a complete and utter lie. It's a total fabrication. Lotta Ciambola and Jean-Louis Renison's entire story about what happened on February 24th, 2018 is a complete fabrication. It's a complete fantasy. It's a work of fiction. And it was completely obvious that they were lying about everything. And the Yale administration knew that they were lying. They knew that they were lying about everything. So anyway, so he said that I told him he didn't belong there, which is a complete lie. And one of the reasons why everyone should know that that they lied about everything that happened on February 24th, 2018, is because they said that I invited him onto the elevator. And so you think, well, that's like a completely ridiculous thing to lie about. Like, what kind of like self-respecting, racist, neo-Nazi, white supremacist, a white woman, invites a Black man onto a small elevator with her? Well, that wouldn't happen, first of all. So it sort of undercuts their whole premise that I'm a neo-Nazi white supremacist trying to perpetrate a racist hate crime comparable to a lynching. So it's like, well, then why on earth did they lie about this? Well, the whole reason why they lied about that is a completely obvious lie. So ridiculous. But the reason why they lied about that is because they didn't want to admit that Jean-Louis Renison was knowingly in violation of housing regulations, that he was not a resident of the Hall of Graduate Studies. He should not have followed me into the elevator. He should not have followed me up to the 12th floor. He should not have done that. He was supposed to be accompanied at all times by the resident who had invited him, and he 100% knew that. And they didn't want to admit that he was in violation of Yale housing regulations, and so that's why they said that I invited him onto the elevator with me, which is a completely stupid thing to lie about, because what kind of white supremacist invites a black man onto a small elevator with her? So anyway, that's how you know that their entire story is just a ridiculous fabrication. So he lied and said that I told him he didn't belong there. And so that's where the whole belonging term comes from. So I don't know why they got so latched on to this term, belonging. So in the emails that the Yale administration, who were fully complicit in the Living or Napping While Black hate crime hoax at Yale, so in the emails that they probably had pre-prepared, they probably had ready to go. The second that video hit social media, hit the griot, hit the root, as soon as that happened, they had those emails pre-prepared, ready to go out to the Yale community, from the lying bigots and frauds on the Yale administration, Yale President Peter Salovey, Yale Campus Police Chief Ronell Higgins, Yale VP of Student Life Kimberly Goff Cruz, Yale Graduate School Dean Lynn Cooley. So anyway, all of them basically were, it was so grotesque. The content of the emails that they sent out immediately after that ridiculous video that Lolata Siambola took of me, it could not have been more obvious that I was targeted for my mental health disabilities, and that video was meant as a campaign to publicly shame me for my mental health disabilities. She displayed just egregious anti-disability bigotry in that video. So, but it was so obvious that the Yale administrators were trying to drive me to suicide and were trying to get me killed and incite my murder, because the emails that they sent out, the content of the emails that they sent out to the Yale community immediately after that ridiculous video hit the griot, hit social media, hit Twitter, is just, it's grotesque. It's evil. It's just straight up evil. So they were basically mocking me and reciting my language. And then also, for some reason, they really latched on to the lie that had actually been told about the February 24th, 2018 incident, that I said that Jean-Louis Renison didn't belong there. Okay, I never said that. That's a complete and utter lie. So that's where belonging comes from. I don't know exactly why they're so obsessed with belonging and with that particular lie. But the fact that everything is about belonging, because Jean-Louis Renison and Lolata Siambola lied and said that I told Jean-Louis Renison that he didn't belong there. That's where that language comes from. And the fact that everything, every campaign, every website, every speaker series, everything, every Zoom meeting, every town hall, everything, every report is all about belonging. That just shows you that this is an explicit campaign on the part of the Yale administration, specifically targeting me. They are trying to drive me to suicide. They're trying to incite my murder. They're trying to get me killed. They're trying to destroy me. They're trying to destroy me. And the fact that everything that they do about diversity, equity, inclusion has belonging at Yale. stamped on top, which is the lie that Jean-Louis Renison and Lalata Siambola told about me. I never said that. But the fact that everything Yale does on diversity, equity, and inclusion, on anti-racism, has belonging at Yale stamped on top of it, tells you that they are targeting me. They are targeting me. This is all about me. It's all about destroying me. Because they know that I'm proof. I'm the proof that they are lying bigots and frauds. I'm the proof of their gross malfeasance. So they want me destroyed. But that's not going to happen. And they made a big mistake. And I just have something to say to the Yale administration. The next time you try to get one of your innocent anti-racism Yale grad students killed, you should probably make sure you finish the job. Okay? Because I have no reason, I have zero reason not to tell the truth about everything. And I will never stop screaming the truth from the mountaintops until you are all fired. Okay? You tried to destroy me, you're all going to be fired. You're all going to get fired. What you did was evil. What you did to me was evil. Okay, so I just really wanted to explain where belonging at Yale comes from. That's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. That's what belonging at Yale, the Belonging at Yale initiative is all about. And it should be rightly be renamed the Get Sarah Braasch Killed for money and to cover up the gross malfeasance of the Yale administration. So I don't want this video to get too long, so I'll have my PayPal me and GoFundMe links below. I'll have my fundraising link to donate directly to Randazza Legal Group below. Just put Sarah Braasch in the reference line. Okay, I love you all so much. Have a great night. Thanks. Bye.